restaurants, the beauty to financial side. We are looking for it all.
Hello, welcome back to Tears to Purpose Real Talk. I am one of your hosts, Elder Lakia Barnett, and this is the lovely, what's your name?
Miss Hubbard.
Good evening, everyone.
Everybody.
Yes, so as you can tell, we are excited to be back on here. I know I am. Anything beats the bed, okay? I don't do all that sleeping stuff. Okay, so I'm so happy. Once again, just thanking and praising God for life. How about you? But I do want to say on today, Miss Hubbard, I've heard so many people that are sick, and I just want to say and speak healing over everyone that is under the sound of my voice. Make sure you are tagging and sharing with your friends, your loved ones. They might just need a boost and they can't get up out the bed. But tell them to turn Tears to Purpose Real Talk on, because I guarantee you they'll be feeling much, much better after watching this show, right? So you guys go ahead and like, tag, and share to all of your haters, all of your enemies, all of your naysayers, all of your supporters. Do what you need to do, because we're on. So I'm excited about today's show, Mother, because we have another bomb.com author, Miss Petra Brown, and she is the author of the Baltimore Imprint. It's based off of a true story. So I'm really wanting to hear about her journey with this writing. So all of these authors or inspiring writers, I need you guys to tune in, because it's always good to hear from somebody else that did it and done it, and you gonna do it, right?
Right. That's why they encourage you.
Yes, encouraging. That is really what it is all about. So y'all, it's 2022, okay? And I want y'all to hashtag this all across your timeline. Hashtag make it make sense. I want y'all to hashtag that thing, because if it don't make no sense, don't you do it. If it ain't in the will of God and he ain't saying do it, don't you do it. Okay? I want you to hashtag this thing. Make it make sense. That is the hashtag for this year. And you guys make sure that you go on and do what you got to do. So y'all keep on liking and sharing. And we're going to jump into this first clip right now.
Yes. Right
now listen, I need this movie. I'm gonna have to bring Mr. Mike Fox back here to
come on with it.
Real talk, because this movie, I want to know when this is dropping. Has it dropped? Did we miss it? Can we do a screening?
We've been planning for a minute.
Come on, Mike Fox. I'm about to tag you right up on here now. I'm about to tag you, Mr. Mike Fox, because see, you can't be leaving us not knowing what's happening with this box, okay? Because that little girl better choose wisely. Choose wisely, because somebody's life seems like is hanging by the chandelier. Okay. All right. So I'm excited about that. So shout out to Mike Fox, the baddest faith-based film producer I've seen. Okay. He's one of them. But there's another one y'all don't know about. Him and his wife is like triple threats with spaghettis and some good sausage in there. Okay. For those of y'all that like sausage. But I'm gonna tell y'all like this. His name is Jamel. He's from Indiana. He is also a film faith-based producer. And I don't know. Y'all read about Proverbs 31, right? Y'all might want to go see this movie. Check this out.
Yes.
Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above all rubies. What woman in their right mind can honestly live up to these ridiculous standards? Certainly not this one.
Who can find a virtuous woman? See, I thought I was one. So, how did we get here?
Once you put anything before God, all hell breaks loose.
Don't check me.
All right, that's enough.
Get ready.
Go on in there. Cry to God.
Are you okay?
Yeah, why wouldn't I be?
We have to be that man in order for them to be that woman.
Tell me you didn't just gamble away all my money, Anthony.
God saved Ant's life.
Please help me through this.
What if you were already the husband I needed? Excuse you.
I'm sorry.
Say it again.
But like, why did Aunt do nothing about it?
Trust me, Aunt's gonna take care of that.
I just want you to see what you got to look forward to.
What a waste of time.
You doing? Move.
Hey.
I'm angry at myself for allowing you to change me into this monster.
This is your mess. You clean it up.
You made this bed, now you sleep in it.
Are you gonna leave? Or do I need to shoot you in your knee?
Who can find a virtuous woman?
Who can find a virtuous woman?
For her price is far above all rubies,
The heart of her husband? Do trust in her.
so that he shall have no need of sport.
She do him good all the days of her life.
Yeah, we're gonna have to call him up too.
Hello, Jamel. I need you to come on back down here to Tears of Purpose. Y'all get somebody find him. Jamel, get on back down here now. Get on back down here because we're gonna have to get you too.
Yes.
That's why we got no personal screen into this Proverbs 31 woman movie. Okay. So yes, these are some bad faith-based movies that I think is going to be very exciting. Continue to like, tag, and share. Get your friends and family to follow this beautiful ministry called Tears to Purpose. And for those of you that are watching, if you don't know who we are a ministry that is thriving in theater and word and inspiration, healing, deliverance, and we help women, and we have women from different states that are actually a part of this thing. So just a reminder, we do have theater and word once a month. And if you guys are praise dancers, singers, poets, mime dancing, speakers that have motivation in your mouth, that you want to use your creative gift, make sure that you email us at barnettlakia@gmail.com and let us know that you want to be a part of theater and word. It has been tremendous. We do skits, we bring forth the word of God, we pray, we do whatever it is that God has called the creators to do. Okay, so you guys remember that. And speaking of Proverbs 31, Miss Hubbard, we got a marriage and single summit coming up. Virtual summits that will be airing live on our ministry page right here, y'all, right here on the marriage page. And we're going to be we're going to be speaking to some married couples, and we're going to be talking to some women that are single and holy, and how they holding it down while they waiting on they man from the Lord. Amen. So it's going to be really, really exciting. So you guys make sure that you tune in and pay attention to the page, because we are going to be launching that. It is a 2-day summit that will be going live here right on the ministry page on February 11th and 12th. So you guys get ready and come in all your cute little red and throw some balloons up there, and let's get it going, because we here to save some folk.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this. It's going to be very interesting. Even you can ask questions. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Yes, indeed. So, mother, let's ask this question. Y'all, I call her mother. So, y'all, excuse me. I have to remember where I'm at. We on TV, on the screen, thing. I have to remember where I'm at. She might get me when this is over. But whatever the case may be, Miss Hubbard. So, what are your goals? What is one of your goals for 2022? Have you set any goals for 2022? And any of y'all that's watching, before she answers this, y'all type down, have y'all set any kind of goals for yourself already? Like already for, because I do believe you need to write the vision and make it plain. Like that's the only way you're going to execute. Sometimes you got to actually see that thing so you can execute it, right? So what about you?
I need to listen more. Be in a quiet place. And so I can hear what the Lord is saying. So that's one of my goals. Spending more time with him, staying in that quiet, secret place, listening, praying, so I can get it done. There it is. What about you?
Well, ma'am, since you asked, I have quite a few goals in mind. I plan on taking over networks this year. And really, and what I mean by that is like really embracing my creative side with plays and film and helping others to birth out that. So I really want to go hard in the paint this year with that. I would love to see the film Why Didn't I Listen, that we started birthing out last year, actually on the screen this year and actually get recorded and filmed. So that is a huge goal of mine. Listen, Tyler Perry better move over because I ain't heard of Lakia Barnett.
That's right.
Yes. And the Tears of Purpose family that's going to follow behind. So y'all better get ready because I'm excited.
Get ready. Yes, that's going to be
that is one of my goals. That is one of my goals, top hands down, is put my hands in the film. The film industry.
Yes.
So nevertheless, this young lady, she probably has a couple of goals of her own. And we are so ecstatic that she said yes to come and talk and chit chat so we can get all the tea about this beautiful book that she has came out that she said is based on a true story. So now I really want to know how this book came about. So none other we're going to bring to the show, Nidra Brown. She is the author of the Baltimore Imprint. Come on to Tears of Purpose Real Talk platform.
Yes. Hello, ladies. How are y'all doing?
Hello, beautiful. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Me too. Can you tell? I feel like I had a whole bag of candy, like them children when you tell them don't give them no candies. They doing too much. Me. So welcome. I need it. Yes, we are excited about this book. That book is everything just from looking at it. But I'm getting ready to turn you over to Miss Hubbard so she can go ahead and get you to spill all the tea about this beautiful project.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to say welcome once again. We're glad to have you on the show. So,
I'm happy to be here.
Your name is Nidra. Is that correct? Correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Nidra. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm saying it correctly. Okay. Just tell us a little bit about your story.
So my story is kind of loaded with just a lot. But when I was about 11 years old, so when I was 8, my mother left my father and they got a divorce and they were kind of together, as teenagers, really, really young, had all their children together, were married, and they kind of went through different issues in the marriage that we never saw because they did really good at hiding it from us. So once they kind of separated and went their separate ways, we were kind of confused, everything's perfect. Why would this happen? And my mom, being a young mom, she ended up getting into a new relationship with someone that was she was with for about 4 years, and he was extremely abusive, probably like the polar opposite of my father, very aggressive and just not the kind of man that I was used to being around or used to seeing. And I think the trauma from it just became kind of unbearable for me because I'm a kid and I'm used to being in this setting where I have my mom and my dad and everything is kind of like blissful. And then we're ripped from that environment and it's something that's very toxic and aggressive. And so at about the age of 11, They're in this big fight, and I kind of seen fights take place numerous times, and sometimes it would kind of look like it would be to the point where I didn't know if my mom was going to make it out of the fight. And so at the age of 11, I kind of decided to take matters in my own hands. And I don't really know what my thought process was. Again, I'm an adolescent. I'm used to seeing this trauma, but at the same time, I'm not used to seeing it. And so I ended up stabbing him. And long story short, he was in the ICU for a very long time. He was near death. He didn't die. And due to that event, it kind of was like the catalyst to a whole bunch of other events. And afterwards, my mother was told, like, you know, your children can't be around this man anymore, and different things like that. And after the event, I kind of thought, like, well, we're free of him. You know, we'll never have to see him again. And sure enough, he was back around. And so as a child, you can't really process, like, you know, why someone would have someone around doing these things to hurt them, and in turn it's hurting you. And you know, different things were tossed around, like, you know, if we find out that he's back in the home, because I had to have counseling, and one of my younger brothers had to have counseling because he kind of walked in on the tail end of the event. You know, we were told, like, they would take us away from my mom. We would be placed into foster care. So as a child, I kind of grew up, and I was a little resentful to my mother because I didn't understand, you know, the just the pathology of abuse and how women stay in things. And I was aware that, you know, my grandmother had been in abusive situations and different family members. So my thought process as a child is like, why would you go into something like this knowing that you have seen it and you felt the strain? You know, so I'm trying to rationalize something that's not really rational. And a long story short, after that, I kind of I buried the event, and it was almost like, you know, it didn't happen, although it did. So I go through young adulthood, I go through my own kind of relationship issues. And then I ended up getting married at about the age of 26. And so in my marriage, my husband became physically abusive. At first, it was kind of more of like a emotional thing and a mental thing. And like we know, with all cases, it progressed to be physical. And then I kind of followed the same pathology as my mother, where I stayed. I told myself, you know, like, I have to stay for my child, and, you know, just kind of putting myself through different things that I vowed to never be a part of, you know. And I started realizing, like, I was becoming my mother in a sense. And so I kind of saw how, you know, it was like a generational curse. And in the end, I ended up walking away from it, and I came out better, and it helped me to grow and learn and just kind of understand my mother in a sense. And so it's like I had this newfound respect for her, because for a while I kind of was resentful to her, and I felt like, you know, I had went through certain things because she couldn't walk away, and to me it didn't make sense until I went through it and I experienced it myself. And then I understood, like, the pathology of it. I understood the psychological aspects, and I understood that it's not as black and white as you know, you feel as a child or just as an adult who doesn't understand. And so the book is kind of me sharing that. It's kind of me sharing, like, my different relationships that kind of led to this relationship that was kind of toxic, and me just realizing, like, what it was doing to me, what it was doing to my children, and just kind of breaking down, like, how when you come from certain environments, you know, when you are in urban communities, you see this kind of thing and it's normalized, you know. And I kind of talk about that. I kind of talk about how I came out of it, and kind of like the big event that happens at the end that is basically the catalyst for me to be able to kind of, you know, take a moment and have some self-reflection and see, like, what it was doing to me. Because I think I grew up watching my mother never fight back. And so I think a part of me felt like I'm not in an abusive relationship, because you put hands on me, I'm gonna put hands on you. And 9 times out of 10, when we're going through this exchange, you're going to leave worse than me. So I think in my mind, I kind of trained myself to believe that I'm not in an abusive relationship because I fight back. I'm standing my ground. I'm trying to set certain standards, when in reality, abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter, you know, what your response is. And it kind of just helped me to see, you know, that I was normalizing things that I had kind of judged my mother for, you know. And then I kind of was able to kind of assess the patterns that she kind of unconsciously handed down to me that I kind of overlooked and became a part of. And so I decided that, you know, I'm a mother of 2 daughters. I have to break this cycle, you know. So what can I do to sever it here and make sure that it does not continue? And that's kind of the gist of the book. It's really loaded and heavy, but there's some funny stuff in there too, because y'all both looking like, Lord. It's a lot of, a lot of, young relationship stuff. I also talk about my previous relationship with my son's father, I'm young, I'm 19 at the time. He was a drug dealer. So he kind of introduced me to a different lifestyle that I had never seen. And I kind of just became engulfed in it. And then a part of me started to realize, like, I want this kind of culture of a relationship with this man that has never seen it, and he is incapable. So I walked away from that only to walk into something that I thought was better, and it ended up being worse. And so I go through like a lot of growing pains and kind of just dropping knowledge to just kind of help a lot of young women see, because where I come from, it's normal. I know so many women who have been in these type of relationship dynamics. I know so many women who are still in it. And so it's just me kind of like, showing, basically giving the signs of like the red flags and just kind of dropping the knowledge and wisdom that I gained from it. And basically just a way to it's kind of like a self-help, self-healing book. I talk about, going through counseling as a child after the trauma. I talk about going through counseling as an adult and realizing that I had been in this toxic marriage and relationship for over 7 years. And so naturally, the trauma, I had to heal from it. I had to go to therapy. I had to go through all this stuff. And it's just a way to kind of encourage women, to know that it doesn't matter what you go through. You can make it through anything, and it's not all sad. I talk about how when I originally met my husband, I was in school and I was studying to be a doctor of psychology. And I kind of dropped all that when I got pregnant with my daughter because I was really ill from hyperemesis gravidarium. And I don't know if you all are familiar with it, but it's basically just an illness you get during pregnancy that basically just consists of all day morning sickness. It's very brutal. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but I've had it with each pregnancy. And apparently each time it heightens. So the more you're pregnant, the worse the form is when you get it. And so I kind of just started flunking out of school. I'm going through all these tumultuous things. And in the end, I kind of revisit a lot of goals. I left my husband, I got myself together, and I started my healing process. I got back in school and I went from being on academic probation to being an honor student. And I've been an honor student throughout the process. I started my own business. I started writing these books, and it's like I kind of just started revisiting everything that I had lined up for myself prior to the trauma and the drama and the relationships. And it was kind of just my way of kind of getting back to who I truly was, prior to these events. And in the end, I feel like I came out stronger and better. And so this is my way of just kind of giving back to the universe and making sure that these experiences are not for nothing, and just kind of trying to help somebody else that may be in these spaces and really don't identify with the fact that they are in these spaces and that they can come out of it. Because a lot of the times that's just what it's about, just identifying with where you are and knowing that, I may be here in this puddle, but I can get over here. I just got to take that first step. And a lot of times the first step is just, the hardest thing to do, to initiate and get yourself to a better space. So.
Wow. That was a lot.
That was a lot.
Yeah. But we as girls, once we grow up into women, we do take on a lot of attributes of our mother, whether we want to or not. And sometimes we don't realize that, because I realized that I have some of my moms. She was a funny person, and I find myself doing that with my girls. So I understand, going through, like you said, what you went through because what your mother went through. But you changed that, and that was good. So my first question is, so do you think your mother stayed with this man and went through this stuff because she wanted to feel wanted?
To be honest with you, I think my mom was just young and she was lost. She had spent her whole life with this man that was her husband, the father of her children. And then the end of the relationship was so abrupt. It's like, now I'm out here in the world. I got these 3 kids, all these bills. Mind you, as a wife, she hadn't worked in a pawn shop. She would be at home with her children. She was a stay-at-home mom. So it's like the end of that relationship caused her to have to go out here and kind of, be independent in a way that she never had. So I think a lot of it was for stability. I don't really think it was wanting to be loved. I think she just wanted to be in a safe space and kind of feel that dynamic that she had with my father. And she was just young. She was very young. She was a young mom. She had me when she was 18, so I think for her, it was just finding a sense of normalcy, because now I'm on my own. I've never been on my own. And so naturally, we all want companionship, but when you've only ever had companionship, it is very uncomfortable to be in a space where you lack that. So I think for her, she was just trying to find the next best thing, and it just so happened that the next best thing was the worst thing, you know. And I think it was just something that was unfamiliar to her, and it was familiar to her because she had seen her mother go through certain things. But I think that, you know, we have a way of training ourselves to believe that this thing isn't as bad as it feels or as bad as it looks. And sometimes it just takes that one big catalyst for you to see, like, girl, it's bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, go. Mm-hmm. And I think that had I not done what I did, she probably wouldn't have left. And, you know, that's sometimes we get ourselves in those spaces where it's like God is showing us something and, you know, we are ignoring it. So naturally, if I keep tapping you on the shoulder and trying to show you what you know you already know, then I'm going to drop a bomb, you know. And sometimes the only way to walk away is when he drops that bomb. And then it's like, okay, I'm awake now. I see this.
Yeah.
You know? And I think for her, she just didn't see it until, you know, it affected her children.
Wow. And that affected you as well. I mean, 11, that was a big thing at 11.
Yeah, I was
you know, that was real traumatic. So that had to open up her eyes, you know. She, you know, you never would think something like that would happen. I mean, but when you love somebody, especially your mom, you only get one mother.
Yes.
And you see somebody messing with her and you be like, oh, no, I'm going to have to stop this myself. Yes. So that's what you did. And you went through a lot with that. But I'm glad you came through that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So about your book, what inspired you to write it and come up with this particular title?
I think the title, so my husband is originally from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised. He's from East Baltimore. And I think that when I was sitting down thinking about writing the book, I had started trying to write the book over about 2 years ago. But I kept coming to these hard spaces where I couldn't really get through it because I hadn't really fully gone through my healing process. So it was just like one of those things where every time you try to go through it, you get choked up, you're feeling away, and it's like, okay, I got to stop. So I kind of left it alone. But I was still thinking about doing it because I knew I wanted to share it with people and try to help people. And so the title kind of came from an event that happened with me and his mother, because his mother is just, she's just Baltimore bred all day long. And she is very like, we have a lot of the same qualities. Mind you, her mother and my mother are the same sign. So they're very strong personalities. And she's one of those people that she just gonna speak her mind, whether you are with it or not. And I'm the same way. So we would bump heads a lot. And one day there was a big argument. And I'm old school. I'm from Virginia. You know, I kind of grew up around people that always instilled in me, like, you don't disrespect adults. You know, it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what. Your elders are your elders, and you just let it be. And so I would find myself biting my tongue a lot. And sometimes I would have to pray, like, God, please don't let me say what's on the tip of my tongue, you know, because this is still this man's mother. This is still my daughter's grandmother. But one day she was just being so disrespectful and she was getting out of line. And so it was like literally on the tip of my tongue to just say what I needed to say. And before I could, he spoke up. Mind you, it had been 6.5 years. He had never spoken up against his mother for me ever in life. And that was kind of always like an issue. And in the midst of the argument, he was basically telling his mother, like, you know, you have it all wrong. You think that it's her doing this and her being this way, but I did that. I imprinted on her. And so when he said that, it took me back a little bit because, you know, I knew what I felt and I knew what I felt like the case was, but I never really knew if he knew or not, because, you know, men are very selfish. They can be self-absorbed. And so when I heard him saying that, I kind of just like, so he does get it. He's just choosing not to show that he gets it. And so that's kind of where the title came from when I was kind of thinking about that one situation. It was like, you know, he had been through a lot of traumatic stuff I had. And I think we kind of built like a trauma bond in a sense. And that was kind of why I didn't walk away as many times as I should have, because I always felt like I was sent to help him. You know, you always want to feel like you're somebody's savior. So I kind of made myself believe like, you know, I'm his blessing. I'm here to help him get out of this dark space. Like I did it on my own, but maybe he doesn't have the strength. And in a sense, his trauma became my trauma. And he just imprinted on my life in a lot of ways, some ways that were negative, some ways that were positive. And then in the end, I got to find my healing and he didn't. So that's kind of how the title was contrived, basically. So
wow. Wow, that's all I can say is wow. Okay, I'm gonna leave it right there and give it to Elder Sokas
okay.
so she can ask her questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are so right. It's a lot compiled in this.
Yeah.
But I really think that this is a good thing that your book is here, because these are like situations that we hear about, we don't really pay attention to. There's so many young women and mothers and things like that that are going through this. I heard one of my good friends who is also in media say, why does it always seem like we're only talking about domestic violence situations or situations like this when October comes? And it seemed like that's the only month everybody talk about it. But all throughout the rest of the year, it's like case after case after case that's going on. Even now during this whole pandemic, can you imagine some people's households or imagine what others may be going through right now? So I think that you are a breath of fresh air and another outlet and a resource for another young lady that might be saying, that's me. Like, how it's almost like I can hear the women saying, how did you turn your trauma into a book, which led to you, going into business for yourself? So let's go there. Once you realize that there was trauma there and you had to heal and you had to unpack, because a lot of people don't understand, you gotta get healed from this thing so you can walk it out. But understand this too, all of this was a part of your call and your walk. Like all of it, it was laid on you. Not, I believe God gives the strongest battles to the strongest warriors because he knows that we can handle this stuff, right? So how did you go from, okay, I need to deal with my trauma, to being an entrepreneur? Where did that birth out at? At what point did that make a turn?
I had been reading this book. It was Oprah's book, and it was basically where she was giving different accounts of like successful people who had gone through different things, and listening to the book, and it's basically like the path to purpose, right? And I'm listening to everybody's accounts, and as I'm listening, I'm just thinking about all these people that have had these like dynamic situations, and they've done things with their life, and the dynamic that kept being reoccurring was just like all the rough stuff. Everybody goes through some rough stuff to get somewhere. And so I realized like everything that I was seeing for myself, I could have. I just had to change my paradigm at looking at all the things that I've been through. So the things that I have went through, I started changing the way I looked at it. And it was no longer like, why did this happen to me? It was more so like, this happened for me. So it's like, once I changed my way of thinking, it helped me to just kind of propel forward. Whereas before, when I was kind of looking at it from a victim standpoint and trying to find an understanding, like, why? It's like there was no clarity. It was like God was silent. And then as soon as I changed my outlook, everything changed. And then I started just moving forward, and I started to see like, I am unmovable in a sense, but I have to decide to do certain things and take that step and just kind of set myself up in a certain way that I wasn't before. And once I started looking at it like that, it was just like, anything I touched, it was just working, and I realized it was just God, and it was also me accepting that my purpose may not look like somebody else's, but that doesn't mean that it's not as elevated, it's not as purposeful, it's not as meaningful, and one of the things that kept coming back to me, I had watched this interview with Steve Harvey, and he was giving this analogy that I heard plenty of times before, but I kind of took it in, and he was saying that, in order for a plant to grow, we got to put that seed in the mud and we got to cover it up with dirt. And so then I started thinking like, all these things that happened, that was God just throwing dirt on the plant, and he's throwing dirt, more dirt. And then eventually I grew in ways that I never even knew I could. I never felt like I would be able to get past some of these things because they were heavy, and it's just ironic because as a child, the two places that scared me the most were the nursing home and the mental institution. After going through these things, I would make it my calling to help people in both settings. I never would have thought that I would be working towards a doctorate in psychology and being able to help people with trauma. But I realized that it is a lot easier to help people in certain situations when you have been there, because you can look at it from an intellectual standpoint and you can look at it from a place of experience. And I do feel that God helped me throughout all of this. And it was always just my calling and him putting me in a place where I needed to be. And it's like, you know, we never want to think like we have to go through these unfortunate things to get somewhere and to do something substantial, but sometimes it happens like that, you know, and everybody doesn't get the fairy tale version, but in the end, it works out the way it's supposed to. And so I think what helped me to just kind of get somewhere with it is just to change my scope of how I was viewing it, you know, and not be so, not allow it to be so daunting in my life, you know, and that's easier to do when you have children, because you look at your children and you see certain things, and I look at my children and I can just see what I didn't have. You know, I can see a product that exists that was not me. You know, my oldest just turned 16, and I know where I was at 16. I had my daughter when I was 17 years old. So it's like, I'm thankful for those things. So I think it was just a lot of things that just helped me to change my scope and realize that it was only as bad as I was making it be. You know, so as soon as I kind of changed that and reflected on it differently, it kind of helped me to start propelling in a different direction, basically.
I love it. You have so much inspiration and empowerment in your mouth. And this show is called Tears to Purpose. Like, we're hearing about the tears that you've sown, right? But what does purpose mean to you? When you hear that word, what instantly comes to mind?
I think purpose for me is just like, it's the aura. It's an internal thing. It's like I've done a lot of things. I've been good at a lot of things, but even the things that I've been good at didn't always have purpose. And so I think for me, it's just a feeling I get, like I'm helping somebody, or I'm doing something that's meaningful, something that can set somebody up in a better way or help them to see something in a different way. And I think that's kind of why I kind of gravitated towards this whole thing of writing, because I've always written my whole life, but I've also been always fearful to share my writing with people. And so I think this experience just kind of helped me to set that aside. But I think purpose for me is just like, it's a spiritual thing. You know, it's more of a feeling. It's an action afterwards, but I think the first thing is just a feeling. You know, it's like an essence that just takes over you. And it's like, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm in the right space. I'm making the right moves. And that's kind of what it's been for me.
I love it. So what kind of business are you in? And talk to us a little bit about that. We might have some upcoming entrepreneurs or people that are ready to birth out and don't know how. Child, spill it, tell them.
So I do a lot of stuff. So I have a caregiving business that I do for myself. And I'm a nurse aide and I take care of people. I do private cases. I also I had a cosmetics business for about 3 years. But I recently just kind of put that on pause, just because I have a lot of moving pieces, and it's like I want to believe I'm Superwoman most days, but lately it's been catching up to me. So I kind of put that on pause, and right now the only thing I'm really doing outside of school is just my writing. So I've also recently added ghostwriting to my business. So if anybody needs a novel written, holla at your girl, because but so that's basically it, and just a full-time mom. Full-time student, and just grinding, trying to get to where I want to be. My goal is to create publications that I can turn into shows and movies, but I'm not there yet. But that's the goal. So we'll see what happens. We will see.
Mother, you laughing and you always giving it away, mother.
I know.
Yeah. And it will. It just will.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, listen. I believe that God is opening up the arena for creatives to come through. We were just talking about this before you got on this show. And everybody
I heard a little taste of it. I heard you with your Tyler Perry.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm tell you right now. Y'all see this face? Let me take a good picture. I'm trying to tell you it's good. The Lord is sending in ones that's gonna go in there. I said I'm taking over the whole network, Lifetime, all these movies. Get them out the way because I'm coming through here. Okay,
yes,
that's how I feel. I'm like, I'm taking over the world. That's it. So, you know, I'm ecstatic when I hear stuff like this. It's right up my alley. So I just be like, go for it. Why not? Like, what is stopping you? You've already mastered doing that book. And I've been telling authors for a while now, like, where's the visual? Like, bring them a visual. These folk want to see it, like me. on the screen. Bring it to the screen. So these people, bring it to the stage. Bring your stories alive. Is so much more to you all than just your writing. Like, just expand. It's so fun. I promise. So give me 2 main tips that you can give to upcoming authors about how to get started. Because some people just be stuck, right? Or they don't know how to write, or, you know, and that's where that ghostwriting comes in at. So give us some tips to help them out.
I think the biggest tips is just to do it. You know, you don't really know your style or your tone or anything until you just practice doing it. So I think the biggest thing to do is just do it. Sometimes it's good to just start with free writing where you're just kind of rambling and just really not making any sense. And then after a while, you kind of get a flow or maybe an idea. Sometimes it's good to just meditate before you do it, you know, kind of going with a clear head, go in a quiet space. And for me, it's just about like making a schedule. If you're going to decide, well, every Monday I'm going to write for an hour. Every Thursday I'm going to write, and just kind of coming up with a routine. And the more you do it, the more you'll see like the areas where you're good, the areas where you're not. And there's no such thing as a perfect writer, you know, so that doesn't exist. And I think perfection comes with time and experience, like everything else. So I think the best thing to do is just try, you know, really the best way to learn.
Absolutely. I agree. So, what are your don'ts to the whole, like, just entrepreneurship? So we talked about your tips for being an author and how to kind of start. What are your kind of do's and your don'ts of entrepreneurship that you think that is very important that people need to understand? And answer this question first. Do you believe that everyone is called to entrepreneurship?
So I think it's a little bit of both. I think sometimes people are called. I do also feel like it's very much a trend right now. So it's kind of like 50-50. So I guess it's dependent on the person. I think one of the biggest don'ts you can do as an entrepreneur is just focus on the noise or focus on the ideology of like, this person should be supporting me. That person should be supporting me. Because I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs, and that's kind of like, a commonality. It was a commonality for me when I first started. I felt like, oh, well, so-and-so is my close friend or this family member, or, you know, getting wrapped up in like the social media thing and seeing everybody watching, but not supporting. And I think I just had to realize, like, you know, I have my supporters, I have my, you know, target market. These people are not in it. And so I think a lot of times we forget to do that. We just focus on like the minute details and get caught up in our emotions. And it's no emotions in business. You have emotions where you know, you'll get sad, you'll get tired, you'll get whatever. But I think that's a part of the process for anything, even a regular 9-to-5 job. You have those experiences. So I feel like the biggest don't is just to, you know, get caught up in things that just don't matter, that are trivial. And then I think the second don't is to just, you know, lose that traction with yourself, where you find that you're not believing in yourself. Because ultimately, you know, you get what you put into it. But you have to be putting in the right stuff internally too. You know, you have to have faith in yourself. You have to have that confidence, and you have to have a rejuvenation process when those things get depleted, because they will, you know, and you have to have something set in stone that you can go to kind of build yourself back up mentally and spiritually and say, okay, you know, I'm tired, or, you know, it's going good now. And that's a big thing, you know, because it's always going to be obstacles. In the beginning, I had the obstacles of like trying to get people to know who I was and get people to buy my products. And then when that picked up, it was the obstacle. I was like, okay, now I prayed for all this support. Now I got it. Now I got to try to keep up with the orders and balance this and balance that. So I think it's just very good to be organized, because, you know, being an entrepreneur is literally like you walking into a pit of fire on purpose. You know, it's very heavy. It's very hard. And you just have to have a rejuvenation process, because you're going to go through a lot. And it is way harder than, you know, going to school or working a 9-to-5, because there's so much that goes into it. And you essentially can gain a lot or lose a lot. So I think it's just very important to just have a space you can go to kind of get yourself back together, get your thoughts together, and just tackle it again, because it's a battle every day, basically. You know, you're going to have your good days and your bad days, but you got to have a process.
I agree. So what's next for you? You've written this beautiful book. You are an entrepreneur. You're evolving, you're growing. What is next for you?
I think what's next for me, I do. So my debut novel is a fantasy novel. I kind of released it in the midst of all this kind of stuff, and so it just was not what I wanted it to be. And I got a lot of good feedback on it, but just after going back through and reading it, it's like I saw ways I could kind of polish it up, and it's like I could see reading through certain chapters, like, oh yeah, that's when this was happening or that was happening. So my goal is to kind of I'm in the process of re-editing that and kind of revamping the book so I can re-release it again. But my goal right now is to kind of just take a chill pill and just kind of market the books that I have out. So I'll be redoing that. I have this book coming out in March and one that's coming out actually in about 2 weeks. That's also a novel. So I'm just going to kind of push those 3 books for a while. I'm about to be graduating in a few months. So my goal really is to just kind of take some time out with my children, travel a little bit more, and kind of just focus on self-care, because sometimes I can kind of just go like the Energizer Bunny, and it can get crazy. So I think right now it's just about slowing down, and whatever God brings to me, he brings, and whatever he doesn't, you know, because you get a little traction sometimes, you'll get a little crazy with it. So I think for me, it's just about slowing down and just watering the plants that I already have and just kind of taking it a little bit slower than what I have in the past.
Yes, indeed. That's a whole word right there. I think a lot of us really need to take a page from that book. And sometimes, you know, and it just helps just knowing what season you're in. God might be saying, rest. I need you to rest. And we all know that. And we might not like the way he tells us to rest. But, you know, right. It is That's what right. It is. So, I just appreciate your transparency and your honesty in addressing your story and how far you have came, because you have really came a long way. And we just want to speak blessings over you, you know, and stay connected to you and see what you are doing, because I know that you're going to go on to do great things. You know, you are truly a boss.
Yeah. I'm taking me some naps these next few months. I'm tired. Yes, I appreciate it. And I just appreciate y'all's energy. This is literally the first interview I've done about this book, but this is literally the first time I've ever done a book video interview where I was not fueled with anxiety. Like, I've never had this happen. So I don't know if it's your spirit or what it is. My life, because usually I told my friend, I was joking, I said, maybe I need to write things down. And she's like, no, just go. And I always try to show up prepared, but I'm noticing that I'm not really, you know, I've always had the gift of speaking, but I've also had a fear of public speaking. It's like, I open my mouth to speak, voice box starts shaking like a stripper. You know, you don't know what to get out. So this is literally the first time that's never happened to me. So I'm like, look at God.
Yes. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Because you built for this already. You're already built for it. Like, your whole everything lights up, and you speak very well and very profound. And how many of you understand that all you got to do is just do it, and it's in you to like do it. So you ain't got to recreate nothing. You good. Like, and this won't be your last interview. I promise you. It won't be your last. They're going to be calling you and telling you to come on over here and over here. Let's come talk to you over here. You know, I even see you speaking in, you know, in rooms to women that have gone through domestic violence situations or have gone through that stuff. So prepare yourself, young lady, because this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody how they can connect with you, how they can follow you on your pages and all your good stuff.
Okay. So you can find me on Facebook under my name, Nidra Brown. You can also find me on Instagram under I am Nidra Shante. And you can find all my publications at my website, which is www.rightnowgirl.com. I also have a book Instagram that is Right Now Girl that you can follow me on. So, and my contact information for email and everything is on my website. So.
All right. Right now, girl. Y'all heard her.
Yes, I like that.
That almost sound like a podcast or something.
Like, I feel like I need to bag you up and take me with me to my next interview.
Yes, I'm telling you, I'm like the hype man on the stage.
Like, when I tell you, I have never been this calm on the inside. Like, usually I get on a Zoom and it's like, Jesus, help me. My friend was laughing because one day I had did an interview and it was for another book. I got on a Zoom, child, couldn't think of which book I was interviewing about, couldn't remember what the book was about.
Oh, goodness.
It's a hot mess, a hot, nervous mess. But thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
Yes, you did awesome. Miss Hubbard, do you have any parting words before we let our lovely guests go today?
I just want to say congratulations. Continue to do what you're doing. You're on the right path. You're going to help a lot of women.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure, ladies.
All right.
Yes, indeed. So thank you, Miss Nidra Brown, for coming through. Y'all better go do what it do and go purchase her book, support her, go check it out, keep following her. Because I'm telling y'all, her name is in the wind. So you just say you'll be the first to see her on here, but this won't be the last show, okay? So we are definitely going to keep up with her and keep supporting her and keep screaming and shouting out her book and all the things that she is doing on this show. She's family now. She's stuck with us. Okay. So Miss Nidra Brown, thank you so much for coming to bless Tears of Purpose Real Talk with your voice and your beautiful project.
Thank you, ladies. Y'all have a good evening. Thanks a lot.
You do the same. Good night.
I love it, Miss Hubbard. It make you want to sing.
I know, right?
Y'all, listen. So I hope that you guys enjoyed her. I did. I had fun listening to her. Her story is thebomb.com. And guess what? If she can do it, you can do it. What is your problem? Y'all looking at my face? What is your problem? Don't say it's the pandemic. Don't say nothing about no trauma, because guess what? She had a whole lot of trauma and she still overcome and jumped some obstacles and slapped the devil and punched him in the face and did all the things that we do to him when he tries to bring us down. So I hope that you guys will continue to like, tag, share to all of your family and friends. Let somebody know that Tears of Purpose Real Talk be on at 6 p.m. every Wednesday. Y'all see my head? Every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to the Tears of Purpose family. We love you all. Also, I just want to say really, really quick, it's my father's birthday tomorrow, y'all. Ooh, 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 ooh. The birthday. Well, he helped birth this. He ain't carrying me now, but he helped me get me here. Okay, so that is my main man, my heart, my father. I love you. We won't be on the air tomorrow, but I just want to tell you I love you, screaming happy birthday, happy life to you. Okay, to my dad. So I will be posting all kinds of mess tomorrow. Just watch the page. I'm going to be posting all kinds of mess. It's going to look like a junk central up there. But it's okay because you're supposed to celebrate and give your parents their flowers while they are alive.
Yes, that's it.
So you guys make sure that you keep tuning in. If you're saying that you want to be a part of Tears to Purpose in some type of way, donating, you guys can donate, Cash App, Tears to Purpose. All day long. It doesn't change. You guys can inbox and find out more about what Tears to Purpose is doing. Go to www.tearsofpurposemonologueministries.com. If you are saying that you are a woman and you have a story to tell, right? You got a story to tell. I'm gonna need y'all to stop closing y'all mouth and giving the devil power over you like that. Tell your story. And we are working with My Story is God's Glory. That is the theme for 2022. And we are getting ready to launch our first monologue live on the ministry page January 29th. So you guys go check it out. Be on alert. Put your page on alert so you don't miss what we are doing. Okay. You ready, Miss Hubbard?
Yes, I'm ready. Let's roll.
Yeah, let's roll. Let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll. Put the foot on the ghetto and let's go. All right, y'all. So that's it. We love you guys. We will be back with more special guests. Shout out to all the guests that ever blessed Tears of Purpose by coming on here and sharing all that what you guys do. So again, if you guys want to be partner and be connected and keep continuing to bless this ministry, inbox me or email me at barnettlakia@gmail.com, or simply just go and donate at Cash App $ Tears of Purpose. And we will be so excited about what you guys are doing. So that is it. Miss Hubbard, that's it, right? That's it.
That's it.
Oh, okay. She said that's it. All right, y'all. Good night.
Good night.
Entrepreneurs, experts, Christian relationship experts, that is, people in ministry